Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Space Marines as we get into the Black Templars. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. If you have any suggestions, just comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Black Templars. The second Purging of Lirra occurred in the 36th millennium as part of the Jerulas Crusade, under the command of Marshal Gervhard of the Black Templar Space Marine chapter. During Lirra's tumultuous past, a sect known as the Divine Army had gained control of the unremarkable hive world of Lirra, located in the Ultima Segmentum. The Divine Army preached a doctrine of intolerance of those with the slightest deviation from what their leaders viewed as the physical attributes of the perfect human being. They created genetically tailored viruses that targeted particular traits, eradicating whole swaths of the population. When Imperial contact was re-established with a remote planet, only 2.5 million inhabitants were left of the world that had once boasted a population of 14 billion. Lirra had become a place of pilgrimage, and for centuries the faithful had come to bear witness to such spectacles as the Hill of the Heretics and the Plains of Purity. Marshal Gervhard and the Black Templars of the Jerulas Crusade had come to Lirra to take heart from the planet's potent display of faith from the past, were horrified by what they found. The Quintarchs of Lirra had turned to a barbaric blood ritual and human sacrifices in search of genetic perfection. At first, the Space Marines were welcomed as examples of genetic supremacy, but the more the Black Templars saw, the more they realized that the rituals of the people of Lirra had too much in common with the heretical cult worships of the ruinous powers. Marshal Gervhard ordered the planet cleansed of its degenerate inhabitants before continuing the crusade. After 4 standard years of fighting, the warriors of Marshal Gervhard forced the remaining forces of Lirra back into the Plains of Purity, where they made their last stand before the Black Templars at the Hill of Heretics. The army was destroyed, the Black Templars showing no mercy and accepting no surrender. Those deemed free from taint were allowed to live, an act of mercy that was to have repercussions for Marshal Gervhard in the later years. In the 39th millennium, the Black Templars, led by High Marshal Udaldus, participated in the Jerulas Crusade. The star system of Jerulas was a long, isolated system, only rediscovered by the Imperium in the late 39th millennium on the outer fringes of the galaxy. Attempts were made to integrate its worlds into the Imperium and return it to the Emperor's light, but the system had long been prosperous and independent and scorned Imperial interference. The Adeptus Ministorum had sent missionaries from the Ministaria Protectiva to Jerusalem to teach its people about the wonders of the God Emperor and bring the system into the fold of the Emperor's realm. The first missionaries were killed and their ships destroyed, but more were to follow. When more Imperial missionaries arrived, this time they were accompanied by a strike force of the Black Templars to ensure that the sector no longer rejected rightful Imperial authority. Under the command of none other than the great tactician High Marshal Udaldus, veteran of the bloody Vinculus Crusade, the Black Templars smashed aside all resistance as they pushed forward into the core worlds. The surrounding worlds fell quickly to the Crusade, but Jerusalem itself was a well-fortified hive world, its many spires protected by formidable defenses. Numerous besiegements were undertaken by the Black Templars, each incurring heavy losses and each promising no swift end to the Crusade. Despite this, it was only a matter of time before starvation and chronic water shortages on the planet forced an end to the resistance. But Udaldus would have nothing to do with such a solution. On the muster of the Castellans, he declared that the crusade would only end on the blade of a chainsword or by the roar of a bolter. Faced by such formidable defenses, it was not until the discovery of the ancient techno-arcana in the long-forgotten depths of a captured hive that the tide of battle was turned. Amidst the tattered scrolls and flickering hollow schematics, Marine artificer Simigus discovered the means to develop one of the most feared battle tanks in the Imperium, the Land Raider Crusader. With the development of this formidable line-breaking tank, the Black Templars were able to plow into the entrenched enemy and those occupying highly defended positions. With its expanded troop capacity, they were able to safely disgorge a sizable squad of Space Marines or Terminators into the heart of the traitorous hive, and against such lethal opposition, they could not possibly hold. Each of the treacherous spires fell upon the first attack, and within a month, those hives that remained in enemy hands had surrendered, though the Black Templars proved to be merciless in their victory. Following the success of the crusade, several other chapters requested information regarding the remodeling of the Crusader as tales of its successes spread. In the many years to come, the Crusader pattern became officially recognized by the Adeptus Mechanicus, a mere formality, since it is estimated that the design had spread to hundreds of chapters by this time. As spoken of earlier, the Vinculus Crusade was a crusade declared by the Black Templars against the Chaos Assassin cult warriors who had plagued the Pelargon cluster. Black Templar Astartes, under the command of High Marshal Ludaldus, consented to fighting alongside the warriors of Inquisitor Vinculus of the Ordo Hereticus. The Inquisitor, accompanied by a detachment of Adeptus Sororitas from the Order of the Bloody Rose, had traced the origins of a network of Chaos Cult assassins to Pelargon 4, a hellish, mountainous world of shifting tectonic plates, marred by constantly flowing rivers of molten lava. The initial Imperial landings were met with little opposition, and eventually the Black Templars, including a young neophyte named Helbreck, and the Adeptus Sororitas, pushed the cult's warriors back to the seat of the continent-spanning volcano. Ludaldus immediately assaulted the fiery mountain stronghold, his sword brethren capturing the main gate and holding it long enough for Imperial forces to breach the cult's defenses. As the Black Templars and the Adeptus Sororitas stormed the huge, pillared interiors of the volcano, Inquisitor Vinculus faced the cult's leader and slew him with his demon blade, though he took a grievous wound in return. This proved to be his undoing, as the new demonic presence that had been building within the cult leader was forced to manifest. In a blaze of dark red light, it possessed the weakened Inquisitor. A massive demon of corn took the Inquisitor's flesh for its own and turned upon his allies, slaughtering Imperial warriors by the dozen. High Marshal Ludaldus, the Emperor's champion Uldricus, and the canonist Jasmine faced the demon in what came to be known by the Black Templars as the Battle of Fire and Blood. Though sorely pressed, these heroes fought with great strength and indomitable faith, but it seemed as though the demon would prove the stronger. In desperation, Ludaldus hurled a holy orb of Antioch, a bomb infused with volatile holy oils and high explosives, into the central chasm of lava. The resulting explosion tore the chasm apart, and a massive earthquake shook the mountain to its core, as rocks and pillars crashed down into the fiery pit. The demon-possessed Inquisitor fell to his doom in the lava, and the remaining Imperial warriors sought to escape the collapsing volcano before being buried forever with their foe. Thunderhawk gunships braved the fiery storm to pick up the surviving Battle Sisters and Black Templars, and though many gunships were subsequently lost in the blinding clouds of ash and superheated rock, the majority were able to escape. To ensure no trace of the demon and its cult remain, Ludaldus ordered the planet bombarded from orbit, till the massive forces unleashed tore the planet's crust apart and buried it beneath the oceans of seething magma. The Black Templars continued to work with the Inquisition during the cleansing of Hythetes, a military campaign against the Tyranid Genestealer cult discovered by Imperial Inquisitors to exist on the hive world of Nevaria II. The Black Templars were called upon to aid in the extermination of a small but dangerous heretical cult on the hive world. This menace was investigated by an agent of the Inquisition's Ordo Hereticus, working within the overpopulated levels of Hythetes, a Nevarian hive city. This agent discovered the towering spires of Thetis held a more sinister secret than anyone had ever first expected. A powerful and malevolent influence was behind the spread of the cult's influence. Further investigation, along with a very closely covert strike by a kill team of the Ordo Xenos Deathwatch Space Marines, uncovered a powerful Tyranid Genestealer broodlord at work. The creature had somehow managed to infiltrate and infect the minds of a large portion of the hive's population without anyone knowing. Years of breeding the Genestealer's foul Xenos DNA into the human population of the hive city, as was their standard operation when preparing a world for the eventual consumption of all of its biomass by the Tyranid hive fleet. This had produced multiple hybrid Genestealers who were an abomination to the purity of the human form, and a grave threat to the life of every still pure man, woman, and child on Nevaria II. It became obvious that the hive was becoming a staging ground for a dreaded Tyranid hive fleet invasion. The hive city had to be purged if the rest of the world had any chance to avoid an inquisitorial exterminatus order. The Black Templars stepped up to the challenge of returning the Emperor's light to the hive. With their usual righteous zeal, the Broodlord and its foul kin managed to anchor themselves deep within the hive's blackened depths. The removal of the taint would take some considerable time and effort on the Black Templars' part. The labyrinth of tunnels, accessways, ducts, and forgotten settlements in the Underhive proved to be a deadly and unique battlefield. It was here that the Black Templars fought terrifying battles in cramped corridors against the Tyranid menace. Slowly, and at a great cost, each sector of the Hive City was cleared from bottom up. Hythetes and the entire world of Navaria II was saved from the purging fires of Exterminatus, only due to the singular efforts of the Black Templars. Such a challenge would not be seen again until the Imperion Crusade, an imperial crusade declared by the Black Templars against a force of Coronid Chaos cults on the world of Imperion IX. On this planet, the Chaos Force was composed of over 4,000 traitors of the renegade Galthamor 24th Imperial Regiment, along with Gurian mutineers and some cavalry. With only a force of just 30 Black Templars and not enough ammunition to hold the heretics at bay, the Black Templar commander, Castellan Athelans, attempted to put in motion an audacious plan that required his troops to follow his orders to the letter, no matter how distasteful they may find them. Athelan's second sergeant, Valerian, began to question his commanders going against everything the Black Templars believed in. He ordered his men to make a tactical withdrawal, forcing the frenzied blood god worshippers to advance each time the forces pulled back. By denying them an outlet to satisfy their bloodlust, the heretics were driven into uncontrollable blood frenzies. Unable to contain themselves any longer, the Coronid cultists turned on themselves and began butchering each other in their all-consuming desire to spill blood. Even their frenzied leader, a Coronid champion of chaos called the Manskinner, was unable to keep them driving forward against the foe. With the cultist ground forces spent after slaughtering each other, 2 Black Templar strike cruisers arrived in system to destroy the heretics' vessels and make sure that this particular Chaos Warband of Khorne was unable to sow destruction and bloodshed across the Imperium of Man. In the aftermath, Sergeant Valerian questioned his commander as to why he didn't explain his plan. Athelans explained that he did not have to explain his actions. As commander, his word was law, for he did not achieve his esteemed rank through chance. His purpose was to lead his men, and their purpose was to follow. If this broke down, then all was lost. Valerian was to do as he was told, and he would not argue, for they were Space Marines. Some of the commander's men would eventually rise to a position where they too would command others from their chapter, and when they did, they would remember the lesson they had learned on Imperion IX. That day, Valerian learned that above everything, above procedure and mercy, and even above the honor that Valerian held so sacred, there was victory. It was only through victory that they could truly honor the Emperor and their fellow man. To fail was the greatest shame. They had retreated in the face of the enemy, but there was no shame in that, for by doing so, they had defeated the enemy. The shame belonged to Manskinner for throwing away his chance at victory by fighting alongside animals, not soldiers. And those were 40 facts on the Black Templars. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends on Facebook, Reddit, whatever social media you guys use. And if you really like the channel, if you like the constant 40K lore, jump on over to our Patreon, link in the description. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't, we understand. Liking, commenting, and sharing really helps out the channel. Now, the Black Templars are an amazing chapter, just because whenever you deal with the Black Templars, you always deal with, like, Space Marines that are extremely against pretty much anything that might be considered heretical, and in the Imperium, there's really nothing that isn't heretical. So the Black Templars, out of all the Space Marine chapters, I think the Black Templars might be the one chapter that I wouldn't like to see helping out a planet, because you know that the inhabitants of that planet are going to be doomed, no matter what. Whether it's at the end with an orbital bombardment like one of these scenarios was, or just most of the population being destroyed by the battle itself. But yeah, they're an interesting chapter. If you guys have any other suggestions, comment down below. This was a suggestion from yesterday's video, so we're paying attention to that a little bit more. The video on Grimaldus is going to come soon. The horrible realities of an Imperial assassin is something that I've been working on for a while, so I should look back at that script. But those are coming very soon. Thank you guys so much for everything, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, if you could put my freedom